Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us here at Tarnation TV. This evening, it will be, May 13th, 2025. We're over here at the Maverick Cup Series. Tonight's race should be super neat because this is race number 7, and we are at Kansas Speedway, which is always a cool track. Full house tonight, 43 people and a 43-person server. Jam-packed here on a Tuesday. My name is Blaine Donlin, joined with the one and only Ron Weston.
Another cookie cutter, the cookie cutter track they call it, but why they say that is they make a bunch of them all the same, but they all seem to drive different. Kansas is probably one of the better ones out there. Watch some of these guys a lot in practice. There seems to be a little bit of an outside group here, so it should be exciting. We just came off a caution-free race at Sonoma, Sears Point, call it what you will, but Zach Rogers, sorry, I gotta make sure we say that tonight. He is in the field tonight. Put a clinic on him. What a great race we had last week.
Last week's race was unreal. He led, I think, all but 3 laps. It was a 37-lap race, and I think he led 34.
And the best thing is there weren't too many people. There was a couple of people maybe that just stepped foot off the track a little bit. Got into the dirt, got it straightened out, and kept on going, and there was not very many incidences. It was a great race. Let's hope we can keep that up here tonight.
Is our stream still working? 1 second up.
Ooh, but it was taken away by Adam Cole. That's pretty cool.
I hope we're live. It looks like we are live. For some reason YouTube just stalled out on us.
To err as human, to really mess things up, you need a computer.
Yeah.
As I said, we're currently going through qualifying right now. Then we'll be getting these guys out there for practice. Do they have their drivers meeting just after qualifying?
Rolling the statistics right now for the season. There's a lot of people, so I have to set it to scroll.
As many of those we've had, I don't think anything less than a 35-car field all season. There's only 9 drivers, though, believe it or not, that have made all 6 races. So that's, just because when they get the big field, sometimes some of the drivers can't make the field. There are some drivers that will make the field. That would be the admins and stuff like that. They're going to have to help, clear the black flags and stuff like that. So there's always admin privileges if they don't make the field. But there's 9 drivers: Jack Merkel, Josh Mercurio, Austin LaPlante, RJ Bishop, Michael Norman, Ulysses Sandoval, Mark Snyder, Ben McIntyre, and Benjamin Snyder have made all of.
Sorry about the interruption there. I was just checking some connection issues. But yeah, you were saying who started? There's so many drivers on this list. There's only been a couple that have actually
9 drivers that have made every race so far. There's actually a 10th driver, but he didn't make it. Dylan Young was failed to qualify in the Daytona race, the first race of the season. That was where we had something an unreal amount of drivers to where they had to have qualifying sessions, and only 41 drivers can make the field. So
And I think for that race there was 74. It was over 70 people showed up to race in that, and there can only be 40. So, but that's the thing. He didn't not make the race. He showed up to qualify. He just didn't make the race on the qualifying time. So he was present. He has been present for every week that we've been here. So, yeah, man, massive league, tons of drivers, and lots of talent out here. That's for sure. So.
That's not hard to do. I am not a big fan of the super speedway races, and I don't know how some of these guys go out there with the stick setups and they just get the speeds they do. I have had guys train me how to do it, and I've gained about 2 to 3 tenths, and I'm still half a second away from some of the guys. So, do have some new make and models out here tonight. We got some Subaru WRXs out here tonight, two new drivers. Give me a second, and I will give you their name.
Oh, yeah, they're the Subaru guys, right?
Yeah, there's 2 Subaru guys. One of them is 00 Aziz is his last name. I'm trying to remember what his first name is, but he hasn't been on the track yet for me to pick it back up again.
Oh, are you talking Tala Aziz?
Tala Aziz, that's right. That is correct. Yeah. Him, and then there's another car out there. They've got very similar paint schemes. We were picking on RJ Bishop earlier for having the same paint scheme as Jack Merkel out there tonight. Although we were informed, which we did notice, that Jack Merkel is driving a Chevrolet, RJ Bishop is driving a Toyota.
If you're wondering what the Demolition Derby is all about, this is just happy hours. These guys are just practicing, testing out the damage model to make sure everything's working good. Usually just a little bit of fun before the race starts. Time to get serious here. Probably in about 15 or 20 minutes.
It's kind of neat, though, how this mod, people can just go out and make different, cars for it. Like, we've got Lexuses out there. We've got a few different versions of the Chevrolets. We've got most of them out there. Then the Chevy SS, which was at that time when this mod came out, was what the car that they drove, which is the car of tomorrow kind of car with not the wing, with the tail on the back of it. And then you got some people that have made the newer Camaros. We even have a Dodge Dart out here tonight. The newer
this is a very popular mod. It's the Gen 6 2015, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is the Cup physics. They do, like as we've talked before, they like to sometimes take these and put the CTS physics in it. A lot of reasons they do that. Just it makes the drafting and the suck up a little bit better at some of the super speedways, and it doesn't hurt it. But myself, I'm always been a big fan of the Cup mod.
I do like the Cup physics, and then there's the Grand National physics, and they all operate so different. And you think you know what you're doing, and then you get in there, you're like, oh wow, this is Cup. Like, it's a big difference because it's the weight of the car, it's the aerodynamics, it's all these things. And even though the physical model on the screen looks the same, they do react a lot different. That's why they have those different physics packages.
And then, of course, this was done back in 2003. So then Project Wildfire later opened it up for mods and stuff like that. But the Cup mod has the most horsepower, the Bush mod or Xfinity mod now. They have a little bit less horsepower, and the Truck Series really kind of just pushes more air to it. So when you're behind them, you can really suck up a little bit better. And they probably got a little more horsepower than the Grand National mod.
It'd be kind of fun. I've actually never done it. Use the PTA physics, the Project Trans Am physics has a 7-speed transmission, and it's built more of like an open wheel. Like they use it for the open wheel mods. They use it for the Trans Am mod. Obviously, the different styles of racing, not so much a big clunky stock car, more of a road racing kind of circuit based thing. That'd be kind of cool. Is there many leagues? There's so many broadcasters in NASCAR Racing 2003. I've never seen anybody do an open wheel race or go back to the old Trans Am mod, the original, and just do that, So a league I used to run with would run they would run 3 different series. You'd run the IndyCar late model and the Cup. They would run one week, run the next week, and then run back to the Cup, and then they would go back through that whole list. There was 3 champions and an overall champion.
And they also, with the Cup mod, when they come out with the first time of the Cup mod where they had the 5-speed transmissions, they actually ran the PTA physics and just made second, fifth, and sixth gear the same gear. And the only problem you have with that is you have to spend some quality time building setups, because the PGA mod was never really designed to go left. It was right and left, but never to go left full time. So,
oh, I see what you mean. Because it's built more for, yeah,
Okay,
you need
buddy,
those,
fired up
you
here.
need that variety,
Remember,
is
one
what you're
switch
saying.
at a time, turning
Yep.
your stuff on.
yes, the qualifying that they had earlier that we were talking about was probably maybe an elimination qualifying, because they're back to doing qualifying again. So that happens when you get more than 41 cars. So if more than 41 cars showed up, somebody is
Okay, buddy,
not
fired
going
up
to make
here.
the field, so
Remember,
they have to
one
do
switch at a
knockout
time,
qualifying.
turning your stuff on.
Yeah, knockout qualifying tonight, because I'm actually showing 44 drivers online. So they had too many people show up, so they actually had to do the knockout. So here's an interesting note here, because Ben's amazing. He always hooks us up with bullet points and stuff to talk about. The defending race winner here at Kansas is Allison Rodrigo. Now, I don't see him in the server. I'm looking down the list, and I don't see Allison Rodrigo.
That would say that he's not going to be here trying to defend his title for the night.
Yeah, because it says it was seeking to become the first driver to win twice in a row at the same track in 2 different seasons, since Huang Do did it at Road America in 2022 and 2023 season. Also seeking to become the first driver from outside the United States to win a race in 2025. One of 2 drivers from outside the United States to win a race in the 2024 season, other than Christian, or the other one was Christian Torres here at Las Vegas. So it's too bad that Allison couldn't make it tonight, because that would have been neat to see if he could defend his win here from last season, obviously a Maverick Cup Series regular. And that's too bad he couldn't make it. Is somebody driving his car? I don't believe so, because the only 2 subs we have are for Dalton Reed and Dalton Reed's in the 80. Who drives the 68?
Well, we have Carbon Edwards. Carbon Edwards. I guess I'm saying that right. Driving the 80 driving the 80 tonight. And we call him Mr. Substitute because I think he's been in 6 different cars this year already.
Yeah, Ben was telling us he's driven the 98, the 68, the 32. Tonight he's in the 80 for Dalton Reed. And Steve Rada is driving the 68 for Joseph Landy Pavlon tonight, too.
Seth Cole was unable to make it tonight, so last week's winner, Zach Rogers, is in that car tonight. His car, he's in the Red Bull car instead of, forget what Seth has on his for sponsorship on his, but
usually it's like Hershey's or something, I think.
Yeah.
But that's interesting, because when they do a substitute, because we talked to Ben about this also, Ben Snyder, the league owner, what happens is they're not racing points for the car. Their points are for themselves, but it's for the team, because they do have an owner's division, and team points. So that goes towards that team that they're driving for. So Zach, for instance, would get points for Zach, not for Dalton.
But the car points, basically the car points.
Yeah, because he's driving for Seth, right, tonight?
Yep.
Yeah, so he'll get points for himself, but then Seth's team will get the team points. We tried to make that as confusing as possible, but I think eventually it made sense.
You did very well. Confused everybody, I'm sure.
Now, while I was messing around with the connection stuff behind the scenes, did you get to the first 5 winners?
No, I did not.
So there has been 5 winners in the first 6 races here at Maverick 2025. The only repeat is Jack Merkel, who won Vegas and Richmond.
Okay, I was going to say, if I had to pick anybody, it would have been Jack Merkel.
Yeah, and of course Merkel is here tonight. And in that qualifying session, Jack qualified 6th.
Just looking to see where he had qualified.
Yep, he qualified 6th. Your top... Oh, wait a second. That's practice.
He is further back than that.
He is. Yes, he is.
I was looking for that solely because when I clicked on him during happy hour, his pit stall was way down. So he did not, 40th, he elected not to qualify.
Mm-hmm. So he ran 6th in practice, but then he chose not to qualify.
And he did the same thing last week. And I got to look that up, and I can get that information real quick.
Yeah, I remember him saying that because he likes the challenge of trying to pick through the field.
So he did not qualify last week and was able to work his way all the way up to 3rd at Sonoma. And yes, he was still in lead lap, and he was quite a ways back from Zach. But, he was able to work his way through the whole field and finish 3rd, so that's pretty good. I don't know if he's the points leader yet. I think Benjamin had told us something. We were talking about Keith Hughes, how Keith Hughes had sat out last week's race and was the sitting admin. And he didn't get any provisional points or anything for that, but he was still 2nd in points. So it'd be interesting to see who is the points leader. Probably Jack.
Yeah, I thought he would have got provisional of some kind, but I guess he opted to sit that race out because he's not a big fan of the road course. So he wasn't forced to the sidelines to do that. But yeah, he was able to hold on to the top spot. I love watching the lines that these guys are taking into these corners. They look like they're carrying way too much speed, but this track just seems to pull them through there. You know what I mean? It's a cool track.
It's got a high groove.
I
think it's got a high groove. So some of the guys are going to run up there. And in the case like that, you're probably going to see, or like some of the drivers maybe earlier in the runs, they'll try to run the bottom, and maybe with new tires, they'll make up a little ground. But as the race progresses and the tires wear off, some of the smarter guys, if that's the case, they'll want to be right up on the top right from the get-go and save them tires for a long run.
Mm-hmm. Have you run any test laps out here? Are tires going to be a massive issue, or?
I did not get a chance to get out there. By the time I got home, I wasn't able to get out there and turn any laps. I wished I did, but they can do roughly around 66 laps of fuel. I'm probably sure that's going to be a little bit lower than that. That depends on the cautions and whatever. You know how we always say, under cautions they can gain more fuel mileage. So I think you'll see some of the guys that are out front will probably stay out front unless the tire wear is a bit excessive.
Depends on yellows too. When yellows tend to fly, we don't really know what's going to happen. So we do have another Grand Marshal here this evening, Stephen Lupo. We'll do the Grand Marshal duties tonight. We'll hear from him in about 6 minutes. And these guys get ready to grid up. Every week, somebody's different. From the Tribal Lines podcast, Stephen Lupo. I believe it's a Survivor podcast. I was checking it out. I can't believe that show is still going. I remember watching the first couple seasons of that thing like 20 years ago.
Never seen an episode.
No. Yeah, when it was brand new, we watched it as a family. It was like what we kind of did. And now it's in like season 45 or something crazy. I'm like, wow, Survivor's still going. But good for Jeff Probst, because he's still hosting the thing. So he just locked himself in for life on that. That's pretty sweet. If you could be a game show host, it sounds like that's the chillest gig ever, because you get all your work done in 2 months and then you just go chill the rest of the year. Or he could film like 3 seasons in a year and then take 6 months off,
Sounds like the dream job.
Yeah, it'd be the way to do it. I'm just still in happy hour here, just cruising through the field. We were following Trek Tog. I don't know how to pronounce that. Trek Tog. I want to say Taher. But there's no H in there.
Oh.
So I want to say Trek Togger. Trey Kinsey right there. Who's that? Mike Carroll. We got a couple of Carrolls out here, because Denny's on the track too, I think.
Yeah. Denny and Randy Waugh, some of the guys that come over from, it would be PRL and Talladega Nights.
So I wonder here, we're trying something a little different. So Zach Rogers, the guy who dominated last week's race at Sonoma, also streams live. So there's his live feed right there right now tonight. it won't be a 100% live, just because YouTube, with it's always going to have a little bit of lag in place. But we're able to bring him up. He warned me to not put the audio on.
We're not on Turbo, so.
We're not on Tarnation TV Turbo. There is a second channel, Tarnation TV Turbo, where it's just kind of loosey-goosey, and that's where I'll stream from. And where language can just kind of go. Okay, let's see. Back on the track here now. Let's see how much of a delay we've got. I'm thinking it might only be about 10 seconds.
He's just barely coming onto the backstretch right now.
Yeah, I'm seeing him coming onto the backstretch, and his live feed still shows that he's sitting in the garage. So yeah, it looks like there's definitely a delay there, but it's still kind of neat to play with stuff like that. It would be possible to sync it up, then I would have to mess with timings. I would have to slow our broadcast down to sync up with his, and that sounds like a lot of mathematics I don't want to do, so I probably won't bother. But basically, there you go. Over at Bulldog Speed on YouTube. Speed, of course, is spelt with 3s instead of E's. BULLDOGSP33D. That's Zach's feed. So when he's doing some driving tonight, you can get over there and watch him. Thanks everybody again for watching and interacting with the YouTube channel. Randy Wah says, "Hey Rod and Blaine, tried to race, but it kept kicking me out. Gonna have to pull for Denny." Yeah, it's a full house tonight, man. I think not being able to get connected, probably, yeah, it was probably just full. A lot of people showed up tonight. I think we had to do the knockout qualify. So next week we'll be at Worldwide Technology Raceway. So what's that? Is that an oval?
World Technology. I'm trying to remember what that track is.
I'm pretty sure it's an oval. I'm not familiar with that one.
You'd have to go. It depends on how. I'm not really sure. World Technology. It's going to bug me. I'm going to have to figure that out.
Yeah, well, join us next week, same time. Broadcast goes live at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then we start talking at 8:30. And we're getting ready to go green here. And we will get to hear from Stephen Lupo.
Okay, buddy, fired up here. Remember, one switch at a time, turning your stuff on.
All right, as they are gridding up here, we will retire our cars.
Okay, buddy, fired up here. Fired up.
Drivers, start your engines!
All right, thank you to Stephen Lupo. Tribal Lines podcast. Links in the description to that guy's podcast. Ben's always able to find somebody new every single week to do the drivers start your engines Grand Marshal command. So that's always really cool to see if anybody can outdo each other on that. So did you get, sorry, we were talking about Worldwide Technology Raceway. So is that is an oval, right?
It's Gateway. Yeah.
Okay. So it's all just sponsored names changing on me.
Yep.
And I'm like, I don't recognize that.
Adam Cole was able to take the pole. RJ Bishop, the one we were giving a hard time earlier, outside pole. Jonathan Peavy in the 2. Kind of a Looney Tunes kind of Chevrolet there. And then Zach Rogers, last week's feature winner, driving for Seth Colbinay, is starting in the 4th position. One of the Subaru WRXs, that's the 00.
Yeah, apologies there. I was trying to go through the field, but when the game crashes, I can't really control that, unfortunately. But we just got back in just in time. Pace car is up, and we are green flag racing here.
Adam Cole got a really, really good start. RJ Bishop on that high side, the outside groove just didn't seem to want to really go. Must have spun the tires a little bit, kind of slowed him right down. Jonathan Peavy worked his way up into the second. And then Trey Kingsley is on the bottom there. Progressive. Ooh. Good move by Aziz.
Yeah, he's looking for it. Now, there's no track boundaries here, right? He is allowed to drive down below the left, the white line there. Oh, there's a cone in the middle.
I was just going to say that. They got the choose.
About that.
They got the choose mark, and so it must be when a caution comes out, the cone comes up.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yep.
And we have a cone. Okay, we've got a caution on the track. Good timing, because I got to fix a couple things here behind the... Don't pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. And we are doing 100 laps tonight. Since the game crashed, we have to type it in by hand. We'll get you a replay on what happened to bring out that yellow flag ASAP. All right.
First car that I see go down pit road, I don't know if it was involved, it was a 68 of Steve Rana. Don't have his car. He's in the default Toyota Camry scheme. There was a few others that decided to come down on pit road. Not up front. Not a bad idea to come in, take 4 tires and fuel, and maybe hope that the caution will fall just right, and maybe you can catch the whole field a lap down.
Looking for the cause of the yellow here. I don't even see any smoke. Are you seeing a cause for yellow?
I'm looking for it right now.
Yeah, I'm not. The yellow comes out right around the 2-minute and 40-second mark. And I do not see any car. I'm going through the entire field here. There's no cars that are amiss. Oh, found them. Looks like the 31 of Matthias Yankee.
That was one of the drivers that did pit.
All right, we found it, ladies and gentlemen. This is how good we are here at Tarnation TV. Thanks for watching. Don't subscribe unless you want to. Oh, the number 10 right there blinked. At least blinked on my screen. I don't know what it looked like for him. But Elliott Small blinked out and reappeared right in front of Matthias Yankee. And then disappeared again. So Small might be having some connection issues, and that may have caused that brouhaha right there. Damage is set to moderate, so the cars will take damage, especially the tires. Body damage isn't going to be too bad in that situation. That wasn't a very hard impact. They weren't even up to full speed yet. Elliott Small has pulled over, let everybody go by.
Wouldn't it be great, though, if they could come up with a, not necessarily a mod, but a fix and have the Jules rule come into play? That'd be cool.
What do you mean?
You'd come in through it as the leader. You'd have a choice to take the high side or the bottom side. That's what that cone is for. And as
that's
second
why.
Place, second place car comes down through, you got a choice taking the bottom or the top, and then the next guy comes down, and so on and so on. Let's say the top 8 decide that they want to stay out on the bottom, and the ninth place car decides they wants to go to the outside. He'd be outside. Next
so that paint, is it supposed to be a cone though? That's like an obstacle.
Painted. It's painted.
It's like an X on the ground or whatever.
When they go back across it this next time by. Ooh, Adam Cole, what happened there? Oh, they got a couple of banging together. That's gonna be a
big one.
That cone, there's a painted like arrow on the track, and that's where they do the trolls. As soon as the game has a caution and it comes out, that cone appears.
A lot going on in that wreck. Every car on planet Earth just got hooked up in that. Mark Snyder's in there. There's a lot of damage on that one. Who's that back there?
Looks like it pretty much blocked the whole track up there pretty good.
Yeah. It looks like Mike Carroll took a lot of damage. Yeah, his tailgate is demolished. Oh, he actually got through that whole thing, too. It happened in front of him. A lot was going on in front of him. I'm going slow motion here. It's a parking lot. Mike Carroll gets all the way through this whole thing, and the number 10 just sends the 27. Not the 27's fault. Was Elliott Small? I was going to see if he had another connection issue there, maybe. He almost made it through, too, actually. Small.
Oh, almost made it completely through the whole thing. Then 27 of Mark Snyder got hit. That Kia sent him right up in front of him. That cone, yeah, some of the guys, it freaked out a couple of them coming down through there behind somebody. All of a sudden, the cones there, you see them zigging, zagging around it.
Yeah. There's no collisions on in this when it comes to the cones, but it is like, what is that thing doing there? Yeah.
It's like sometimes when, you're out near the front and, the pace car comes out, and you necessarily race back, but you cross the start finish line, you get down the backstretch, and the pace car comes out and drives through you. I've had that scare the heck out of me.
Yep. Yeah, if it was a barrel, that'd be a different story.
Mm-hmm.
So we can quickly go through the field here now that we've got a yellow flag up here. We got Peavy and Cole at the front. RJ Bishop. Zach Rogers in the 93. Michael Norman right behind him. Carlos Mendez in the 34. Got a couple of cars with the black and lime green, too.
Yeah.
Anthony McCurry there in the 61. Behind him, Zach Armstrong. I haven't seen him out here in a while. The 103. Matt McIntyre. Crocodile Crump in the 19. I like that paint scheme. Nice and simple.
Yeah, but normally he drives the 17. Then last week, because it was kind of a Winston West, some of the Winston West drivers were supposed to be there. Right. Somebody had already had the 17, so he elected to drive the 19. And now he's back in it again this week. So I don't know if it's just he didn't switch over or he decided that he liked the 19 and is going to stay with it.
And the points go with your name, I'm pretty sure. So it'll just, he could drive whatever he wants. As long as the name stays the same, stats will be tracked like that.
You look at Zach Rogers. He's out there, and then the 93 tonight. Last week he was at 84, I believe.
I believe so, yep. There's Denny Carroll in the 41. 84. Randy couldn't make the race. But we got teammates out there, so, Denny has, a little bit of fanfare on the sidelines, and Randy Waugh and Corey.
Yep.
And the pace car, I noticed the lights were off. So we'll get back up front here and wait to go green again.
Getting ready to come out of turn 4. The pace car is going to drive down pit road. Adam Cole again is going to start. You've got Jonathan Peavy on the outside. Let's see if Jonathan can get those tires not to spin on this restart and keep up with Adam Cole. Start on the outside by Peavy.
Yep.
Still, it is a little bit better on the start on the bottom there. RJ Bishop giving Adam Cole a little bit of help down the, he got a little better start than he did, gave him a little shove, which helped push him out front.
Wrecking in the back. Yellow flag is out. We got some break dancing going on back there. Cars on their lid. This caution flag brought to you in part by Spinning Cars. Head on over to spinningcars.com. Coupon code I'm on my roof at checkout for a discount.
Or, look, I'm a top.
Yeah.
It's always a fun feeling when you're in the car doing that. Like, hey, look, I'm spinning.
Yeah, I can't do nothing about it.
Anybody that gets the old cartoon or there, I can't remember the website. that they used to have, you know, frog in the blender. And, hey, look, I'm spinning and I'm spinning.
Oh, the internet's been around a while. There's so much good stuff.
Yeah.
As you can see there, the schedule for the Maverick Cup Series next week at the Worldwide Technology Raceway. Charlotte after that. Milwaukee Mile.
Ooh, good track.
Takes us into June 3rd. Pocono, June 10th. And Road America to end off June. And back to
Zach Rogers will be there for that one.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. Yeah, he'll show you how to get around that track fast. I mean, there is people that can give him a run for their money. Like, I know Jovan Anderson, I've seen him do amazing on road courses as well.
Oh, absolutely. Jovan is a talent.
Mm-hmm. So we'll work our way through this field here. Where was I? I was back here around Denny Carroll. We got Matt Scully there in the 14. Josh Mercurio right behind him in the 95. Kirsten Bell. 711 to John Godfrey. John does a lot of retexturing on those Talladega tracks, or any track, really.
Did you mention the Josh Mercurio? I didn't hear his name.
Sure did. Josh Mercurio in the 86. Yep.
Purdy pink Cadillac.
There's one of those Subarus right there, by the way. We brushed right over that. Is Kirsten Bell in the 95.
Yep.
Jane Adkins in the 37.
How do you say the next one?
Danica Matthew.
Danica Matthew, okay.
Oh, there's Dylan Young. We were talking about him. Jarek Gravois. Ulysses Sandoval.
The U-Man.
Jorge Pachon. Austin LaPlante. Zachary Hall. Noah Wetzel. Trey Kinsey. Kern B. Edward. Matthias Yankee. Who's that up there? Jack Merkel.
Hasn't worked his way much to the front yet, but I have a plan that I believe he'll make it up there when it comes to the end.
Yeah. When we get some green flag laps going, he'll definitely start picking his way through it. There's Steph Thomas and Mike Carroll. Sandy Gutierrez is back there as well. Quentin Moore. There's Ben Schneider. And Tala Aziz.
I believe the lucky dog for that was Mark Schneider.
And there's Steve Rada in a car I do not have. Mark Schneider is going around. Yep.
What number was the one you didn't have?
Number I did not have. 68.
Okay. Yep. Same here. Yep. Ace car's off. Adam Cole's going to be leading it there. He's led the first 11 laps, sorry.
I haven't made that mistake in a while. I just went through the whole field and nobody saw it because I had the schedule up on the screen.
Do it again if under the next caution if we get a chance.
We're going to turn number one.
Really good. Adams gets a really good run on that bottom with RJ Bishop right behind him, giving him a little bit of shove. It's helping him out and get right out front. Fortunately for RJ Bishop, he's not getting the run that he needs on the bottom. Like I said, I think there's an outside groove to this track. Zach Rogers up there using it right up near almost to the wall. Gets a good run off the corner.
Really, yeah, like they really get hooked up and they seem to almost accelerate.
If you'll see in a lot of these tracks like that. The inside line always seems to prevail going into the corner, but you'll get a better run off the corner up on the top. If a track has that capability. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that all the tracks are going to be like that. You have to have a track that actually has a high upper groove. Look at this. Jonathan Peavy, wicked run through 3 and 4. He is going to lead that lap right there.
Peavy to the first position. Yeah. Outside line.
I think he looked out in the rearview mirror, saw Zach Rogers up there using that line. So he went out there to try it, and it worked for him. Zach Rogers currently looking now underneath Adam Cole to the second position.
You think Cole maybe, I mean, it's too early. I can't see him running the tires off. Maybe he just made a mistake.
Well, to me, if you were to, as much of a run away from them guys that he's got his Jonathan Peavy gut. I think he's running it a little harder than he really should be. I think he just he got a good run. Adam Cole decided, he didn't. I'm not saying that he could have stopped him, but he got a really good run, and then it happened. So I think he's probably, like you said, maybe just being a little cautious and saving some.
It is a long race. 100
We're
laps.
speculating. We're speculating. We're only on lap 17. These guys have not pitted yet.
Cars that have retired with a wheel problem. Elliott Small is out. Cody Lannis is also retired. Trek Togger is out, as well as Jane Adkins is retired also.
Crocodile Crom, he's got working his race square on the 7th position out there. He's just cruising along. Got Josh McCurry behind him, and Anthony McCurry just passed McCurry out there. Denny Carroll right behind them, just kind of looking back a little bit to see how they're doing. And we've got the first of the 2 Subaru WRXs out there, a new model, make and model out there tonight in the 95 of Kirsten Bell.
Yep, Kirsten Bell in the 95. Picture of the cat on the hood.
One has a cat, one has an 8.
It's funny when you think you've seen every manufacturer, somebody will just make another one. Like, hey, I want to drive like Ben was saying, there's been Buicks, there's been Mazdas, whatever. Somebody will design it.
I remember when they first decided that they were going to come out with the Dodge Challenger, the Chevy Camaro, Mustang, and all that. Before they actually come out with it, I started making templates for the Aero 88 series. I actually have a Dodge Challenger template that I made for the Aero 80 series.
Oh, cool.
It's neat.
How difficult is it to make a template? Because you need to get all the body lines and the shading and...
Yep. So that's kind of what I do. I've done. You make all that and then sit down and do the shading. I did the shading all with the, I guess you call it the spray can function.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's a tedious thing to do to make it look right. And then, like the Aero 88, obviously you wouldn't be able to put it onto something like the Luminous style. It was basically the Pontiac Grand Prix body. We did it on the, I believe it was the Buick Regal. It had the nose was just better designed for it.
Nice.
So the 14, Matt Scully just went one lap down. A little slow, so I don't know if he's... mechanical issues, if he got caught up in one of those earlier wrecks, and the crew decided to slow him down by pulling out about 3 spark plugs. Doesn't
Thanks
look like he has a lot
for being on the YouTube channel there. Sorry to interrupt, Rod.
Good.
Okay, Allie Rain 6. Good evening, all. Hoping everyone is having a good night. Definitely really missing being on the track. Working on something real big with 3 other friends. Hopefully we can all get it worked out. Sarah Brooke Gray. Good luck, everyone. Hi, Steve, Zach, and Joe. Hey, that's the rule on Tarnation TV. No shout-outs, because if you shout somebody out, they're going to crash. Rovanami, the 06 here got caught up in the wrong place at the wrong time. Roof first into the wall, and my race was done. That's Trek. Unfortunately, had to retire due to an accident. There was a lot going on in that accident, too.
Little troll. My daughter hasn't got on there yet, but I'm sure
we'll
she'll
see.
Mackenzie will be on there at some point.
Yep. Ooh, the 42 tagged the wall. Dylan Young, there goes around him there in the Hubba Bubba car. John Godfrey. Oh, I thought he went around him, but apparently not. Oh, something just happened back there. I'll load that up and see. It looked like somebody swatted the wall really hard back there.
Yeah, we were taking a look at a few of the other cars out there. Carlos Mendez has kind of worked his way up into the 2nd position and is actually running Jonathan Peavy down.
We're in a caution cool down, eh? Because the 738 of McIntyre went around. Oh, there's nobody behind him. Oh, yes, there is. The green flag stayed out.
It's a single car spin. They don't throw a caution.
Yeah.
Notice that if you watch Jonathan Peavy, he is actually and him and Mendez are actually running above the gray line, the darker gray part of the track, which is normally where the groove is. So this track has got a better, I wouldn't necessarily say better, but it has a high groove to it. So almost of the front runners running up there right on the higher groove.
Right. Yeah, you can see they're not coming down to that white line. They're staying up near the middle of the track.
Love a track like that. I mean, with the exception of Atlanta BR. Atlanta BR was one of the only tracks that everybody that you talk with, they messed it up so bad because you put the car a foot away from the wall and you never leave the wall.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was probably one of the only Brian Ring tracks that was just, it raced good, but it just never, a lot of people didn't like that. I mean, in Michigan BR, you could run the highest side like that and save your tires and do really well, but you could also run the bottom and it was quicker for the first 10 or so laps.
Right. Yeah, we're just watching Carlos Mendez run that line, not even touching that dark spot on the track either, like where the rubber would be. But this is not a dynamic racing line either. Like in iRacing, you can lay rubber down for the entire race weekend. So if people they tend to run high one week and the other, the track actually would change color depending where the majority of the cars are running. Here, it's just a texture that doesn't actually change.
Yeah. With that there, the more cars run in the groove. So if you had more cars run on the high groove, all of a sudden they start putting the rubber down, and then the grip gets less.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have to start searching for a place to find the grip.
And that's the cool thing about iRacing is because it has that dynamic racing line, it really does change every single time you go back there. Because if the weather's a little bit different, guys will run into different spots.
And of course, my complaint about iRacing, you spend 2 weeks building a setup for a race that you got coming up, and then one day before that they do a tire model update and that setup is no good.
Oh yeah, they're always messing with tires. Yeah.
So I was kind of just poking around through the field, and we talked about the other things going on. Jonathan Peavy's still leading, but Adam Cole's come back up, passed around Mendez, and got into the second position, and he's starting to attack Peavy. So I think Peavy probably ran, as I suspected, a little bit too hard, and was burning up his tires a little bit. Josh Mercurio is back there trying to take third place away from Mendez.
Now we are about 15 laps into this run too.
They can go, fuel mileage wise, they can go to the halfway point. Tire wise, we don't have that information. I'm not 100% sure how far or what the tires are going to be like, but I would imagine the drivers that are saving a little bit, they're going to have better tires near the end. They're going to, like as we're seeing, the drivers that saved a little bit there at the beginning, let the other guys pass them. Just kind of slowly but surely working their way back out to the front.
Carlos Mendez, Josh Mercurio, and Zach Rogers, 3 wide right here. But Carlos is on the top, and he likes that top line. That top line works, man.
Starting to see Zach Rogers, come into the picture. And we're about halfway-ish through a run, maybe a little over halfway through a run. Well, we've had a few cautions. It's not surprising to see him starting to work his way to the front after these guys in front of him. Like we said, Jonathan Peavy, we felt, we don't know for sure, was probably driving it a little bit too hard. Now Adam Cole has gotten back by him, taking over the lead.
There's Quentin Moore, currently focused on Quentin Moore in the 89, about to get lapped here. Mark Snyder there as well.
Advantage that Jonathan Peavy got, he got to go out there and lead 19 laps. Currently he led the most laps, but now that Adam Cole's back out front, he's only 5 behind him. Won't take him long to probably surpass what he did.
Now, do you think, I'm trying to think, the line would change depending on possible damage too? Like your car might not want to run, and we're focused on Quentin Moore. He just got loose in the back end right there. That was crazy. The thing actually hopped out on him. He collected it though.
Usually what happens with a track that I would say appears to be what we're running on with tonight, so the higher you run, you're going to be more gentle on your right front tire, Probably
Okay.
the right rear will be wear a little bit quicker, but on the bottom, depending on the setup too, I think you'd be a little bit more abusive on that right front. As we're watching Adam Cole's now, he's running the bottom of the track. So
Some guys are pitting right now. Like PB and Carlos Mendez both headed to the pits.
see, that's a product of if you ran too hard, you're starting to lose time to the leaders. They're thinking now, as we've had a fairly good, green flag run here. Go in, get tires, and make up that time on fresh tires out there. If you get lucky, you'd be maybe caution would fall in the right spot and they catch some people a lap down. As Jack Merkel is on the high side out there, just took over the second spot away from Zach Rogers. I wonder if he pitted earlier after one of those cautions, so now it would give the advantage of being on fresher tires. He is running as high as I've seen anybody run. Right out of that gradient area. Jack Merkel, currently in the second place, behind
he's in the 2-4, right?
Adam Cole.
It is interesting to see, like, damage to the car would affect where it would perform, right? Like, if you had damage, you might not be able to run that high line or that low line. And your driving style, too, obviously dictates that as well. It's not, everybody's not going to run the same spot because you're just not comfortable jamming the throttle at the same time as somebody else would be. Or
Well, you have what did we say? We started the race tonight with 41 drivers.
Right.
Okay. So think about this for a minute. You think everybody in the whole field likes the same setup? No. But you have to have a setup for the field that's good for the whole field.
Right.
So now, as you can see, RJ Bishop must have just come out of the pits. He went by Adam Cole. Adam Cole's now pitting, like he was sitting still. So now Jack Merkel is going to stay out, lead a lap. Back to what I was saying is sometimes you get damage and the car will handle better for you. Sometimes you get damage and the car doesn't handle better for you. The only place that I've ever seen that really being a big advantage for a race that I was in is at Rockingham, where it got backed into the fence and it actually handled better for me because the setup to me was a little too tight. Now it was loose, so it actually worked.
Adam Cole getting full service.
So everybody's now pitting. Jack Merkel has pitted twice. So that's why he was able to get up through the field. He was on fresher tires. You think about where they're at now, pretty much, I'm imagining anybody, barring any further cautions or anything like that. But the drivers that did not pit the first time around are probably looking at a 2-stop race.
That's pretty crazy, I love the tire management aspect of it too, where like you could just run fuel out and get gas every time, but if you've got to manage tires sometimes, that's a cool little, I like that.
Jack Merkel went out, he led 2 laps, and then went in and pitted with not too many laps after everybody else did, because he as fast as he was and he went through the field, he knows all these guys coming out with newer, fresher tires, they're gonna catch up to him and go faster than he can. So wisely, he comes in and pits so that he's on the same pit strategy they are. Yes, he's already made a few pit stops, but he's done that under yellow flag conditions, and that was able to give him the ability to drive up through the field, take over the lead, and then in a few laps after leading about 2 laps, he decided that now it's time to stay on their same strategy with them and stay with them out there on the track.
There's Sandy Gutierrez from first into the pits. The 00 of the Z's is now being built. And first, there's just a picture of an egg on the hood. And it says, egg racing on the back quarter panel. It's very straight to the point.
That's similar to what we had with the SMO Fun Night.
Yeah.
There's so many, this green flag run has put so many different cars in different places and different areas. Yeah, we get somebody that pits and somebody else will get the lead. Now you're cycling through the field trying to find out
who's actually
who's what,
the leader.
where, who's leading, and
Yeah. Right now, Aziz is being credited with the lead, has led 2 laps.
and he just left there.
Taha Aziz, yep, just leaving the pits now.
It's the same strat, like I said, about Jack Murphy. You go out, you know, he probably hit it earlier, and now, you know, he had good tires, which worked his way towards the front, able to take over the lead. Now he's just going to come in and try to stay as close as he can to the strategy of the guys that are currently up front. Looks like Jonathan Peavy's probably going to come, or Carlos Mendez. No, Jonathan Peavy. Sorry, just switched on me. He's going to come out and be the leader. Just kind of try to find out how far back Zach Rogers and Adam Cole is. Denny Carroll has had 1 pit stop, and he is currently 3rd.
Last time by, looks like within a second. Benjamin Snyder has been disqualified from the race. 23 laps ago, Benjamin Snyder was disqualified. I just noticed that now. Currently running 20 cars on the lead lap. And yes, Jonathan Peavy is your leader, has led 21 laps. Adam Cole has led 20. So it's so far between these 2 drivers.
Zach Rogers currently in the 4th position. Denny Carroll, though, he's actually going to be dropping back to the 4th position as Zach Rogers takes the outside of him on turn 3 and 4. Carlos Mendez is still running up there in the 2nd position. And then, like you said, Jonathan Peavy is currently our race leader. Peavy's not running up as high as that. I say that, just as I say that, he goes up there, but
yeah, very different strategies.
Yeah, different lines. And I love a track like that has different lines like that, where you can get advantage on the high side, or, you know, on the low side. It's kind of cool when you have a track that gives you options.
So you're thinking now at the halfway point, these guys should probably be good to go on one more stop?
Yeah, I would think so. They ran 40 laps. Next 40 laps, you know, ish would give you about, you know, at lap 80. But some of the guys, you know, we've had quite a run here under yellow flag, green flag positions there. Sorry, and maybe you'll get somebody that'll do with 75 to go. You know, right. Maybe take that 60 laps and split it in half and do 30.
I'm always the one that would go kind of like you pit when you can get enough to get you to the end, but not completely burning it all out either. Like, you don't want to be on that thread. You do want to have a few laps under your belt where you can push it if you have to. But you also don't want to wait till the last second, in my opinion, because then you've got no time to make any moves, right?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And the biggest thing of that is the hardest thing about that strategy is caution flags.
Yes.
So you know, if you're going to run a race that is going to go green to checkered, you know it's not going to, because, you know, it's no cautions allowed in the race at all. You know, your strategy is really perfectly going to come into play, how that ever works out. But in this, you know, race, there is cautions. So a caution, you know, could, or, you know, change everybody's strategy. So
we just watched Zachary Hall pass.
Just gonna say
Jonathan Peavy, so he got his lap back.
But he must have just come out of the pits not that long ago.
Yeah,
had his fresher tires. He drove right by him like they were sitting still. But mind you, he's probably driving, you know, to get back on the lead lap. So he's gonna go as hard as he can. Where Jonathan found out on that first run that, you know, I think I went a little too hard and they ran me down. So he's probably backing off a little bit, trying to save a little bit.
And that too, Zachary was 3 laps down. Now he's only 2 laps down. So every little bit helps.
Should a caution come back, you know, to get the drive around and come back to behind everybody, and hopefully you can do, you know, the strategy enough to maybe make it happen again. Carlos Mendez, though, isn't letting Jonathan get too far away. And right there with him. I don't he really made too many moves to try to pass him. He's just using him to kind of set the pace and let him burn up his stuff, hopefully, so that maybe he can pass him a little later on. Carlos has not yet led a lap, so PV is our current lap leader with 29 laps led, and behind him, Adam Cole with 20. Had a few cars, I know, Cinti Gutierrez and Tal Aziz.
Yeah, Tal Aziz. That's it for laps led, yeah.
Yeah.
Very small margin here.
Fastest lap of the night so far, Crocodile Crump.
Crump currently running in 10th. Has the fastest lap of 187.3 miles per hour, 28.8 seconds around this thing. Got some good draft on that one.
3 early cautions in succession, and then it's been green all ever since. And then guys are running and putting on a great show.
Trying to focus. I keep getting stuck. There's cars on the pits. I'm trying to flip through the field here, and then I get pulled away from the front line. So there's Carlos Mendez.
It is a little hard to do because there's so many cars that are not on the lead lap, and what is it? The top 20. The top 20 is still on the lead lap.
Can you believe that? Jack
one
Merkel
being-
in the 24, second place.
Last one still on the lead lap is Kirby Edwards, our
Professional substitute.
That's the word I was looking for. Sorry about that. Brain fart.
I don't know where Jack Merkel in the 24 is now, right on the bumper of Jonathan Peavy in first place there.
We were
for the
looking
lead.
around at different carts, and he just showed up out of nowhere.
Yep. And he chose, like we were saying in the pre-race, he chose not to qualify. Starting
Right.
near the back, And now
Yep.
he's, scraping the paint off the bumper of that 2 car, looking for the lead, and it looks like he's going to get it on the outside.
All the cars around him have only pitted once. He pitted twice. So what he did was he pitted under the first one or two of the first 2 cautions to get some fuel and fresh tires on there, which allowed him to drive up through the field and take over the lead.
He's actually pitted 3 times.
Yep. So then his third pit stop, which was shortly after these guys had decided that they were going to go down and pit instead of staying out, even though he had, could probably go quite a bit further distance and whatnot, he decided to pit, put 4 tires fuel in it, come back out. And that gave him the ability to drive right back up to the front. Now he's currently our leader.
Yeah.
Good strategy.
Amazing to watch.
Great
that. Yeah.
strategy.
Especially, and what happened too, the green flag run here that we've been in for about 50 laps or so, maybe 45 laps, has really helped because he's been able to drive the car. Under yellow, you can't do anything, but under green, you can do what you got to do, and here he is, first place.
He said he's using very smart strategy. He just, now that he's got out front, you don't see him driving away like Jonathan Peavy did a little earlier. He's just kind of holding them at pace.
Mm-hmm. He did what he had to do to get out there, and now he's just going to get the laps.
Yep. And it'd be interesting to see what Zach Rogers has for him as the race goes along. We haven't seen Zach. He's been running up front all night, but he hasn't been super aggressive or tried to burn his tires up and get out to the front, as he's currently right now trying underneath Jonathan Peavy, trying to take over the second spot. I guarantee you watch, he'll just, once he gets past him, if he's able to do it, he's going to pull right up behind Jack Merkel and just ride around behind him. So you got to remember, Zach Rogers he's not in the points. He's only run a few races with these guys. He's here to win.
Yeah.
And that's what he wants to do. So he's, last week he put a clinic on. Excellent road racer, I would have to say. And he looks like he's just showing them guys what he's got tonight, but he's racing very smart.
And the 93 is Seth Cole's numbers, so that'll be a great help to Seth Cole's team standings as well.
Yep.
You don't need to win, but finishing, like if the race ended now and he was in third, 40 cars started tonight.
You saw what he did there. He tried to get underneath Jonathan Peavy for about 2 laps. realized it's not going to work, backed off, cooled his tires off, and he just went right back at him again. This time he took 1 and 2, I would say aggressively, probably more aggressively than he really wanted to for the tire wear. He did it and was able to get in front of Jonathan Peavy. Now he can just, slow down, relax, and save his tires again.
Yeah.
Adam Cole's right behind him. So Adam's been running really, really well tonight.
Very interesting in the front of this here. There's Carlos Mendez back here getting passed. Oh, well, not getting passed by Josh. Josh is looking for the pass, but they're dealing with a 3-wide situation almost. There's Josh Mercurio. Mendez down. They're pitting now.
Talked a bunch about Ulysses Sandoval, but he's currently back there in the 6th position, just behind Josh Mercurio and ahead of Anthony McCurry. And, I would have to say he's, one of my favorite drivers. I have to respect the guy. He has not been into this game very long, and he's already won a championship.
And won a championship in some serious leagues, too.
Yep.
He's competitive everywhere he goes.
He runs. I mean, he races a lot.
Yeah. Like at the Talladega Challenge at Rolling Thunder Gaming, where you need to qualify for that race every week because too many people show up for it. And Ulysses is out there in that race, live on Flat Out Racing with Seth.
He's a great super speedway racer. That's one thing you can't take away from him. Him and his team Wrecking Ball, when they get together, they usually do very well.
Let's turn on the feed for Zach here to see what he's looking at. That feed coming from Bulldog Speed on here on YouTube. Remember to spell speed with no E's.
No E's, I like that.
Yeah. But that is Zach Rogers. Live feed from inside his car from his YouTube channel. It will, like I said, it will not sync up 100% with what we're doing here, but it's kind of neat that we can pull that in.
Currently just in the 3rd position as we're looking at it, but I think back then what you're looking in that working at the live feed there, is he had not quite got past Jonathan Peavy yet.
Right. Yeah, I'm guessing it's probably about a 15-second delay because that's what. Oh, Peavy around on the way into the pits.
No.
Under green, he just bumped the wall a little bit with the back.
Zach Rogers now is currently in the 2nd position.
But Peavy from 5th. Is he 5th?
Now somebody's clutching. I got to figure out who's doing that.
Focus on John Godfrey here in the 7th position in the 7-Eleven Hubba Bubba.
Ooh, Anthony McCready got into somebody. I don't know whose fault it was there, but there was a car that went around going into turn 1. I don't know if that's going to bring out a caution. Yes, it does.
Interesting. Pits are now closed.
Nothing worse than when you pull down there, and then once you get into pit road and the caution comes out, you're good.
You're fine.
Imagine when you're your front wheels are about to hit the end of pit road, and then the caution comes out. You hit pit road. Now you're at the end of the longest line for entering a closed pit.
Now, okay, can you not drive through and not get serviced? Do you still get hit with a closed pit penalty?
No matter what, you're going to get closed pit penalty.
So you might as well just get serviced then.
And then it literally depends where you are, when it happens, to whether or not you want to pit or not. Now, sometimes what happens, and this is basically as Jack Merkel, Zach Rogers, Adam Cole, and 22 of Michael Norman, there's your top 4 come down pit road as long as with Trey Kingsley. So there is a glitch in the game. What happens is, so if you go down pit road, and as you're down there, the caution comes out, and you happen to pass the start-finish line, either it being on your way to your pits or out of it. When you come out, you haven't taken the caution flag yet.
Oh, really?
So if you've gone past pit road, like, so let's say your pit stall's down near the end, and then so you come out, you go right around the pace car and go right up, and you can actually lap the whole field.
Oh, jeez.
It's a glitch. Now, some leagues have rules against, just come out of the pits where you are, no matter what your spotter says, it's different. It doesn't happen very often, but it does happen once in a while. Currently, looking at it right now, I'm trying to figure out how it's going to come to play. Jack Merkel was the first one off pit road. Adam Cole's behind him. Zach Rogers behind them. There's a few cars. Actually, no, I take that back. It looks like Michael Norman might have beat them all out of the pit road. But there was a few cars that stayed out.
Yeah, just finding the point of, it looks like Danica Matthew in the 98. Just a little bit of a quarter panel tap there from the 61 sends him around. Anthony McCurry tagged Danica on that 98 and then gets absolutely obliterated. That will contact with the 31, I would say. Bang. That is a hard hit. Holy moly.
Went through trying to figure out who, what, where, and how here, but Jack Merkel did get off pit road first, and then it's Adam Cole, Zach Rogers, and then Michael Norman is your top 5. Trey Kingsley is your top 5, the fifth driver in that. Danny Carroll is going to be the lucky dog as he rolls around on the bottom.
From that accident we just watched, Danica Matthew has, of course, to retire. Matthias Yankee has also retired. Quentin Moore, it's showing, has not passed Matthias yet, but will in another couple of laps to gain that spot. It pays to keep running, especially with so many cars on the track. I mean, if you're 6 laps down and one of the guys on the lead lap crashes out, after you run those 6 laps and catch them, you'll get that spot.
Interesting choice. Jack Merkel decided to take the outside groove. The leader can choose what groove, what size, where they want to start. I think that's a smart decision. Although we've seen the bottom groove on the restarts be the better groove. Just think if he can hold off Adam Cole there just long enough to stay beside him, and he will probably beat him out the second corner. We'll see. It'd be interesting to see how that works out.
And it's all in this launch, too, because we've seen some really good starts from both these guys tonight. I mean, Merkel getting up here all the way from the back, of course. No slouch. Giving Cole and Rogers, all these guys are on for their money, so this will be kind of interesting to see. This is a big restart here, because they can go to the finish on what they've got right now. If we go green, it doesn't really matter. I doubt we'll see any more pit stops from these guys up front.
But you're doing about 34 laps. You can go green, but you can't go green doing qualifying laps. You're going to have to save a little bit if this thing goes caution free the rest of the way.
Yep, you got to hit your marks. Don't beat the thing up. Both of them got the same start pretty much. That's almost identical. That's great.
That's good for Jack Merkel being on the outside, because once they get into the corner, Adam Cole's going to pull right up beside him a little bit right there. As long as Jack can get off the corner well enough to keep Adam Cole from coming up in front of him, which is very, very close, but Adam leaves him the room up there.
Yep, he's not clear enough. I love the different grooves on this track. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Merkel right back to it again.
I think whoever did the work on this track, they made a really, really nice version of Kansas, because high groove works well, so does the bottom groove.
Yep, it really does accommodate the different styles of driving, which leads to some great racing, which is what we've seen tonight.
Oh, yeah.
How long was that green
awesome.
flag run in the middle there? Probably about 30, 40 laps.
Something like that. I don't remember when the second caution came out, but
Yeah.
last caution came out, but it was a long green flag run. We had green flag pit stops.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with that at all. Watching Zach Rogers he's looking for racing room.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I think he's also, you know, he's being smart about it. He doesn't want to use up his tires, but he's pushing Jack Merkel down the backstretch. He'd swear they're racing at Daytona. Jack Merkel goes to the bottom.
Yeah, maybe to just get away from Zach, maybe not. Yeah. He's trying to break the draft. Maybe. Yeah.
Break the draft, pull Adam Cole up beside him, make them two use up their tires a little more, maybe.
And make them race each other. Throw the draft off. Now Rogers is forced to find another line. But
you see how the bottom groove. So, yes, we know at the start, when you started the race, you know you're going to potentially going to do 50 laps on a set of tires.
Right.
So you were seeing Jack Merkel be a little more aggressive. We're seeing Zach Rogers, Adam Cole. They're driving a little more aggressively just because they don't have to go as far on these tires.
Rogers gets right to him and then falls off again. It's like he's overdriving it going into the turn. Eh?
Michael Norman right there behind him. Look back a little further. I think Jonathan Peavy's not being as aggressive as he had been earlier. I think he's learned that he can probably, tire wear is going to be important for him. Zach Rogers, though, got a wicked run off turn 4.
Yep. Right up beside Merkel. Wasn't able to get the car settled there, though. Dropped back a little bit.
Still got 18 laps to go.
And corner exit for Rogers, man. Like, he's coming out of these corners flying.
There's really not, they're not really too much of a reason to save tires right now. Yes, if you are able to save them, you might have better tires at the end, but it's a question of whether or not you can do anything with them. Jack Rogers just keeps poking. Now he kept trying to do the outside, and then every time he did, Jack Merkel went to the bottom side. Now he's on the bottom side to see what he can do.
Can we say, too, how good these cars look? Like, the paint schemes are phenomenal on all these cars tonight, man.
Yep, they look really good.
So much talent.
Michael Norman has hasn't really been, out top the top 6 drivers all night. And he's working his way into the 3rd position. Can't count him out. He's got an opportunity to win this.
Zach Rogers with 2 laps led to the lead right now.
Michael Norman hasn't been out front all night long, but smart driver that you don't have to go out there and win the first lap. You go out there and win the last one. That's all you need to do.
Well, even Kinsey in the 18, like, he was a lap down early in the race, and now he's right up here in the top 5.
Adam Cole's trying to make a charge at him. Like we said before, this is a great track. The group, 2-groove track, a lot of room for racing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't count Jack Merkel out yet, but I don't know. But I think Zach Rogers is kind of possum with him. He's not showing him everything he's got.
Yeah, I'm trying to find where to watch here. We've got a lot of good stuff going on here in the top 10, so I'm trying to keep the camera sort of in the middle.
Big battle for 4th place between Adam Cole, Trey Kinsey, and Josh Purio, and Jonathan Peavy right there behind him.
Yep. Yeah, and Peavy, he wants that lead back. He's got 34 laps led tonight. He still has the most laps led. Whoa, Cole and Kinsey getting real close right there, but he bumped the wall. Kinsey around.
So we're getting down to 12 to go.
Green still up.
Jack Merkel on the high side trying to take it away from Zach Rogers, and does so down the backstretch.
Kinsey got all the way up there, and then that one, he went around, and the yellow flag is not up because it's a single car. Is that the thing? It's a single car wreck. They won't bring the yellow out. Yeah.
Yep.
That's unfortunate. Yeah. So he will fall to the back, or almost to the back of the lead lap. Anyway.
Tell you, we got a heck of a battle going on out front.
Yeah.
The guy that's got the best seat in the house is Michael Norman. He's watching these two go at it. He's like, yeah, just use your stuff up. You guys get tired, I'll come right out there in a few laps and take it away from you.
Yep.
Zach Rogers is like trying to do it, and then it doesn't work for a couple of laps, and he backs off. And I think he's just saving his tires a little bit, pulling them down. He's going to get ready to make another charge out.
On board right now in the 22, Michael Norman. Like you're saying, the best seat in the house. Just to sit back here and wait to pounce.
Sometimes that's, with the two guys in front of you that are as aggressive as they are, they're going to be trying to go for it. He might be in the right spot. First Toyota, we have to say first Pizza Hut Toyota. Okay.
Pizza Hut Toyota, now I'm getting hungry.
Oh boy.
Pizza Hut and nothing but. Adam Cole right behind him. I usually fly around the field, and try to keep an eye on everything, but these top 10 right here is just all over the place. Like there's Peavy back there, Mercurio's still there. Steve Rada is a lap down in the 26, right next to Zach Armstrong. I don't know where he's in 7th now.
Gonna have 8 to go this time by. So it's now business is picking up. You're not saving anything anymore from this point on. So I think you'll probably see within probably a lap or so, Zach Rogers is going to start making that attack.
So you're saying now they may have been saving, and now they're going to use it up.
Yep. All right, that's what my thinking is with Zach Rogers. He's right now in the 2nd position. He keeps looking down underneath Jack Merkel. He gets down there on the exit of the corner, and he's about up to the window, but hasn't been able to get. Yeah, hasn't this time by too. He's gotten right up beside him. I just don't know if he can get off the corner as good. Michael Norman sitting right back there, just watching it all. Going,
yeah.
Bad guys wreck each other. I'll take this away.
They're running identical to each other right now. Coming up on lap traffic, we got Wetzel and Mark Snyder.
Wetzel stays low, gets out of the way. I think you'll see Mark Snyder do the same. He's going to go to the high side and get out of the way. Kind of had this, oh no. That's not good from Michael Norman.
Norman's okay.
But he kind of come up in front of him. Almost looked like Mark Snyder was just going to give him the room, and then he just kind of moved up to get out of the way, and when he did, he pulled right out in front of Michael Norman.
Norman kept it together, though. He's still right there. He's still in the draft of Rogers.
Good. Adam Cole's now. Whoops, now the caution comes out. No one's in the front is going to take tires. So now you got to start looking back to somebody that's on the lead lap. How far back is somebody going to come in, take tires? They ain't going to have very many laps, but might be able to pick up a few positions.
Can you find why caution came out on that one?
I think it has something to do with Mark Snyder and Michael Norman.
Maybe. 5 to go. To the pits. Everybody.
And they are pitting.
Wow.
Surprised me. Now the question is they taking 2 or 4?
We'll stay locked down to the front runners here. And look at that. The back half of the field. Well, those cars are a lap down, actually. Yeah,
so
the first,
Jack Merkel
there's only
took
13. 2. Okay. There's only 13 cars on the lead lap.
Zach Roberts only took 2.
Rogers
Jonathan
actually beat
Peavy.
him out.
Jonathan PB is the first car to take 4 tires.
See, I wonder if 4 might be a good call. I mean, maybe not, because there's only a couple laps left when we go green again. It looks like Rogers will be first off. 2 tires stop.
This is going to be interesting.
So there's a huge potential for massive wave around right here too, because we've got half the field that probably doesn't need to pit if they don't want to. Because we're looking at the first place car right here. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 15 cars trapped between the leader and the pace car.
So the 5th place car, Zach Armstrong, we really haven't talked much about him tonight. He was one of the guys that was around.
Everybody's taking the wave around. So,
Adman's nightmare.
Yeah. Interesting. So we just had probably, what, about 12 cars take the wave around? And now we're doing some lane swapping up front.
So we
just saw a lane choice right there. So, we just saw a lane choice right there. Rogers decided to go to the top.
Jonathan Peavy, 8th position, first car on 4 tires. We only got about 2-lap run.
Yeah, and I don't know if 2 laps is going to be.
I don't think it's going to be enough.
4 is a great call, but you needed more than 2, I think. More than 2 laps to go here. The 4 tires might not even be a factor.
I think one of the biggest problems is if the track opens up for them, it's going to be at a big advantage. A fairly decent advantage. Everybody took the right side, so they're going to be pretty quick still, too.
Dexter Flag will end this race pretty much, yellow or checkered.
Green, 2 guys in the front got a great start.
Yep. Everybody up front
Peavy
got a great
did
start.
not get a very good start, though.
Merkel
is out there. Peavy's looking for some room, but I don't think he sees it. He's going to get any.
Look at this. Wow. These guys want to go 3 wide. They are coming around right now to the white flag. Currently on lap number 99.
Jack Rogers did not quite clear.
Oh, look at that. What's the lap time on that? They were tied at the line, according to the telemetry that I could see, only 2 decimal points. So this is going to be a drag race to the finish. Merkel and Rogers. We got Norman and Cole, and Peavy's right there.
Peavy, like I said, Peavy with those 4 fresh tires.
Yeah.
He's coming around.
He's there. I didn't expect him to
probably going to get himself
there.
into 3rd, maybe?
Oh.
Oh!
the 3 wide for, like, the 2nd place right there.
Peavy misses it, like, by 100th of a second, beating Michael Norman to the 3rd place finish. So, I mean, he started 8th and made it all the way up to 4th.
Yeah.
It didn't hurt him. I don't think he was good. He had lost too many, maybe a couple of positions, but he made them all back. Zach Rogers.
Well, not to mention that he started at the very back of the pack, pretty much. Oh no, that was Merkel.
Merkel started back. Yep.
Zach Rogers in the 93. That's Seth Cole's car.
Done what Seth Cole hasn't been able to do so far this year, so that very sad.
Apparently everybody's doing burnouts. It's a burnout festival. Welcome to a burnout fest. Oh, looks like we've lost them.
I was looking for Michael down there in the list, and somebody had moved me already put in the waiting room. Michael Norman, their third place finisher tonight, had the best seat in the house there at the last part of that run. Figured that you were setting them up, and then that late caution, you went in, took 2 tires, and managed to just hold off PV for third place. Tell us a little bit about your night. All right, we'll try this again. We got you now, Michael?
Yeah, I can hear you guys now.
I'm sorry about that.
No, it's good. That was my phone. For some reason, my phone was like, "Oh, I can hear or I can see the thing lighting up, but I can't hear." That's kind of weird.
Okay, well, we'll try this again. So you had the best seat in the house for that last run of the evening, waiting for the 2 guys in front of you to kind of make a mistake so that you could go out and win this thing. Caution comes out. You come in with the rest of the guys, take 2 tires, come back out. The first car to take 4 tires was Jonathan Peavy. You were able to hold him off at the end of the run. Tell us a little bit about your night.
Well, honestly, I am very surprised that I finished. I'm very surprised that I finished here. In a way, I am, and I'm not. It was definitely a fight and a struggle all race long. Definitely got to thank the team for this one. I mean, my pit stops weren't that great, but at least I had a decent 2-tire pit stop there that got me out. But it was definitely a big fight. It was a tire saver for the most part. The first run, I literally just followed Zach. Yeah, I literally just followed Zach the whole time, and I was able to save tires that way. But the second time, as soon as we made that green flag pit stop, I kind of just overdid my tires a little bit. So luckily, the caution came out. Literally the lap, I was going to pit because I was about to blow a right front tire. So that really saved me.
Yeah, that's cool. I was going to ask you a little bit how tire wear was coming into play in it. We didn't see much of you most of the night, but as the night progressed, you worked your way up towards the front. And like I said, but tire wear was a pretty good issue. What do you figure you could get for, lap tire? How many laps could you get on a set of tires if you ran it decent?
Oh, Lord, I was thinking, well, you could go a full fuel run. Like, we actually made a full fuel run the first time with our tires saving a little bit. So I want to say it was roughly about 20-ish laps. But the second time I was literally about to blow my tire because I was pushing it too hard. And as a driver, it's hard to know that you've got to save tires, and then to watch everybody pass you in the same time. So it's like, this race was fun. I love Kansas. Last year, it wasn't broadcasted by you guys, but last year I was running third here, just like I was with 3 laps to go and blew a tire. So I was having a little PTSD running third, but this time a caution came out. So thank God that, it would have been a lot different if that caution had not come out. But when it came to the Mark Snyder incident, there was just nothing I can do. He came down into my line and I ran right into the back of him. I didn't mean to wreck him. It's just when you come down in front of somebody, especially someone who's faster, and then you kind of hit the brakes, eventually that's going to happen. Yeah,
and we saw that, and it almost looks like he was going to started to kind of think he was going to go low, then he decided to go high right up in front of you, and you had nowhere to go. You were definitely in the crash room.
I'm just very, very glad that he didn't come back up the track and take me out, but it was dang close. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, and I tell you, it looked like this track had really. It was a good 2-groove racetrack. I mean, you could run the high side, maybe save your tires a little bit, but yet you could just go right down to the bottom and roll it.
Yeah, it just pretty much was it is. I was running about. The key was to run about 165. Once you hit the 165 mark, you can get the gas, and that's kind of how you save your tires a little bit. But it was very tough. That's all I'm gonna say.
Had a heck of a run, and like I said, we didn't see much of you at the beginning. Right there at the end, had the catbird seat. I'm glad to see you finish in the top 3, get you up here. So we're gonna let you thank the people that got you here, and we'll get on to the next guy if we can ever get him on TeamSpeak because he keeps popping in and out.
I'm not sure if I can talk to him or anything. I know he left the other TeamSpeak that I was in.
Yep.
He gets a little angry, or I guess he's angry at himself because that should have been for a first place between the 24 and the 93. But
Yeah, he quit pretty fast after the checker.
Yeah, and he was just disappointed. It was a really good run between those two. They were having a lot of fun. I could have easily have tried to make it 3 wide, but I'm like, I'm not going to wreck all 3 of us. So, but yeah, thank you for the team I'm on. RJ for painting this race car for me. It's RJ's satellite team. I believe it's Durburger Racing I'm driving for, something to that extent. Thank you to Pizza Hut and the rest of the sponsors on my car, Shell, Pennzoil. It was a very fun race out there. Very, very exciting to have actually ran a good race that close with Zach and Jack, honestly. And I really can't believe I held off PV with just 2 tires. But I guess that came down to the final run to the line there. But I also want to thank Adam Cole in the 69 for not pushing it when he very well could have. And the last thing I kind of want to say, thank you guys for broadcasting. I want to go back and watch it because it's definitely going to be fun. And Adam Cole, baby.
Congratulations, Michael, on your 3rd place finish.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Norman. Have a good night, bud.
You too.
Are unable to get a hold of the 2nd place finisher tonight, Jack Merkel, but we got last week's winner, again this week's winner, Zach Roberts, right? No, Zach Rogers. Believe it or not, we said it right all night long.
I don't know what I heard.
There was a few that we messed up. I was keeping track.
But you ran a good race tonight. You ran a little smart at the beginning. You didn't push the issue a little bit. And you tested the waters a little bit through the middle of it to see how you could do on the bottom side. The track really seemed to have 2 great grooves in it tonight. And then I was surprised you come down. I was really surprised that everybody pitted at that last one. And
we had to.
Yeah, tires are getting that bad. So, and then we were interested to see how Jonathan Peavy would do, and he ended up making it all the way up to 4th because he was the first guy to take 4 tires. So, but tell us a little bit about your night.
Yeah, it was good. Tiring again. Just was a pretty tight setup. So you were just constantly worrying about the right front because the right front pretty much was just melting off the car tonight. So I mean, you were questioning yourself the whole run if you were going to make it to the end tire wise on a gas run, and we were going to be fine to make it both of those runs. I was going to have to pit there a lap after that yellow came out with about 29 to go. I was going to have to pit, so I'm glad it came out when it did. If it had come out a lap later, that would have been tough.
And an excellent battle tonight with Jack Merkel there, because he came from the back of the pack. You had started up near the front, and I said it was surprising to see how tire wear came into play. So you don't think you could have made it at the end? You would have had to pit before the end of the that last run, or?
I'm talking about before the yellow we had with 29 to go.
Oh, okay.
I was about to pit there the next time by, but the yellow came out. So, we also got lucky there. A lot of us, we had all pretty much, stayed out. Jack, me, Michael, Adam Cole, we had all stayed out. We were all about to pit. So, only having 8 cars on the lead lap really worked. A lot of those guys had to take the wave around, and then, I think a lot of those guys had to take 4 tires there when we had that caution with 5 to go. So we all were like, yeah, we're going to take 2 tires and a can to help it rotate. Didn't want to risk taking 4 and losing too many positions, because as much as you can go 3 wide here, like I did 1 3 wide pass and it was tight. I think because the 4 of us all took 2 tires and restarted in the front 2 rows, that really kind of made it difficult to PB to maybe get higher than 4th, because it was really mainly a 2-lane track.
So you managed to do something that Zach has not been able to do all year. Seth hasn't been able to do this. You were substituting tonight for Seth Cole. You managed to get a win.
Yeah, maybe I should just run these guys' cars every week. We'll just keep cycling until we get them all a W.
You're gonna have
22 next.
Gonna have to for as far as wins. Yes, I think you can do that. But as far as being the big substitute driver of the season, Kirby Edwards has got you beat there. I think he's been 6 races he's substitute for other drivers already tonight this year.
Has he won?
No.
Negative.
Then how is he better?
Didn't say he was better. I just said you were going to be making, if you're going to be substituting. He's substituted more. You're just substituting and handing out wins.
He's winning in cars driven. That's what he's winning.
Carby's actually a really good open setup guy. So, kind of hate to see him not do as good here on the fixed setup side, but he's a heck of an open setup racer.
Yeah, that's the thing. Open the setup and see how much fun you'd have there, because some of these guys wouldn't even know the first thing to do to make a setup to be right.
Yeah, open setup's fun when you first get into it, and then when you're trying to push for as far as you can go. But once you've hit the best you feel you can get it kind of gets boring.
Yeah, and then trying to find that last little tenth or so, changing shocks and just trying to do whatever you can to get just a little bit more, and then going backwards and then going back and trying it again. That's one of the things I always hated about, having to constantly practice to try to make the setup better.
Yeah, and there's only so hard you can push a custom setup on a short run, because if you overheat the right rear, you just spin out. Here in the fixed setup, it was just tight tonight. So, I mean, you just try to really pedal the gas to get the right rear to heat up that little bit more, and it helps you rotate. That's what I had to do on the bottom there with Jack on those last 2 laps. I had to really pedal it through the entry, the middle of the corner, and then I just had to try to use up all the track I could and just make sure I didn't put him in the wall. Looked like there was maybe a little bit of net code going on from his end. I saw him shaking there off of 4 both those laps, so I don't know if that sent him up a little bit or not, or if he just kind of pushed it a little too much. We were having a heck of a battle there, though.
Blaine, if you don't have anything else for him, I'm going to give him the floor so you can thank the people that have got him here.
Yeah, it was a fantastic run, man. Congratulations watching you guys do what you do. And even it's too bad Merkel had to leave so early, because
he's back.
He's back. We'll get to talk to him after we get to talk to him.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, because he, starting in 40th and getting all the way up to second place, and watching you guys do what you do, it was. I like to kind of float around the whole field most of the time and check out, everybody with what they're doing in the first half of the race. But you guys in the top 10 were just. It was great to watch all race, man. So yeah, thanks again for an awesome show.
Yeah, and I mean, Jack will even, I'm sure, tell you when he gets up here, he really benefited that third yellow he pit, and, he was lucky, he got through the carnage that was going on, and then he was at a really good advantage spot there when it went green, because he had the best tires and he had the position, so he was looking really primed to win this thing, and it comes down to a 2-lap shootout, and you just get all you can out of it. But yeah, I gotta thank Cody Lamas again for the paint scheme. He had to scour the internet to find this 93 font, because apparently Seth painted his 2 cars and then threw the number font away or something because he couldn't find the number. My poor painter, man. Seth I didn't even ask Seth to really get his permission. RJ Bishop was just like, you can drive the 93 if you want, and I was like, okay. So I just kind of jumped in and away I went. This is actually not the first time I've driven a 93 car. I drove the 93 once, 6 years ago, so kind of funny. But yeah, thanks to you guys for doing the broadcast. I heard you were making good use of my stream. I'm guessing you found a way to keep it muted when you were playing it, because
yes,
I don't want to get you in trouble.
No, there's a way to control. You can bring in a web source, and then you can just tell OBS to control it and mute it.
Yeah, you can mute it. Yeah, I mean, it's like the NASCAR radios, right? There's a reason they have a way to censor those live on the air. You can't really. That's hard to do here. But yeah, I'm glad you were able to kind of show people how I'm driving it. You could even see I think I had the tire temps up a few times, so you could see like how the car was being affected by the wear and all that. So I think that's a pretty cool insight.
You use that little app that I use as well. I think it's called Wheeler.
Yeah, Wheeler.
It shows you your inputs on the steering wheel and the pedals, which is kind of neat. So you can see the brake, where you lift in and how you turn in and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so as you could see, you had to really saw the wheel back and forth. You wanted the wheel straight for traction, but if it was too straight, it wouldn't turn. So then you had to like jerk it to the left a little bit to get it to turn. Then it would get tight again. You'd have to turn the wheel back straight. So it was a little goofy. You had to like manage that and like do that smooth enough so that you weren't just burning the right front off through the middle of the corner. But again, thanks to Ben and Keith and all the guys for hosting the league. I actually got to drive this track at Mondays at Thunder a few months ago, so I had some prior practice. It was same setup and everything, so didn't have a long tire run as we did tonight though. So I'm rambling. Yeah, I don't know what next week is, but if I'm bored again, maybe I'll come out and sub again. Otherwise, the only ones I'm really planning to do at this point are Pocono, Road America, and Watkins Glen. But if there's any Tuesday nights where I'm like, sure, I'll hop in a car, I'll be out here.
Yeah, but great to see you, man. Yeah, I always put on a good show.
Thank you, man.
So that was your first place finisher, Zach Rogers, tonight. Won his second race in a row for over here at Maverick, and hopefully we'll see him again.
Thanks, Zach. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And we got Jack. There is Jack Merkel.
We had to get Jack Merkel in here. Started in the back.
Yeah, 40th to second place, man. Just like last week, you decide to kind of start in the back and see if you can just get to the front, and you did it again.
You used the right strategy, though. You pitted when the first two cautions there. You pitted a couple of times, came out with the newer tires, able to work your way to the front, and as soon as you got to the front, you decided to pit and keep with the strategy that the rest of the guys did, which put you back out there on better tires, and you were able to run back out into the front, and then had an epic battle at the front with Zach Rogers. Tell us a little bit more about your night.
Yeah, I made a stupid bet with Keith after Talladega that I could start at the back of every race and still win 5 races and win the title by a lot of points. And so far, it's not going well.
But it's so close, though.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if that last caution hadn't come out, I had the best strategy. I was about 2 or 3 laps ahead of everybody else. And I definitely feel like I could have pulled away those last few laps, and then I knew I had to clear Zach at some point on that last restart, and I should have dove it to the bottom in 3 coming to the white, but I expected him to go to the top, so I was trying to block him, and he threw me off and went to the bottom.
Gotcha. Surprisingly, we were, like I said, we watched you in the back there, and all of a sudden you just appeared out of nowhere and just started, and had a super race. Points-wise, are you the points leader yet? I'm not sure exactly. I knew Keith Hughes was in second. Does that mean that puts you in the points lead?
Yeah, I think coming into the race, I think I was like 170 ahead of second. I think I was 171 ahead of Joshua Mercurio, who was second.
Does that mean that you're going to continue to start in the back and continue to go for the title, or are we going to switch it up a little bit and start running, in the front and starting in the front and just making these guys?
I'm going to keep doing the qualifying in the back until it really gets me. I think it kind of screwed me this race. I definitely think it screwed me last week. But until it really, really messes me up, I think I'm just going to keep doing it and keep trying it.
Oh, that's cool, though. I mean, you finished third last week, second this week.
Yeah.
You still got the points lead, so you're showing that you can get it done.
I think I figured it out, though.
Okay.
Of the 5 races that I've ran, where I ran a paint scheme that Jeff Gordon won in, I haven't won the race. The 2 races I did where he didn't win in that car, I won those races. So apparently, if I run the car that he wins in, I'm not going to win the race.
Wow. I love the superstition. That's great. And yeah, I just pulled up the stats. Coming into this race, you were in first, 164 points ahead of Keith Hughes, 173 points ahead of Joshua Mercurio. So, second place finish tonight definitely helps that.
Yeah, for sure. I think the thing was I had to win the title by 250. But the problem is there's a chance I miss Gateway next week. And if I do, that erases any lead I have now, and I'll have to rework it back up.
Right.
Oof. So if you don't race next week, you putting Zach Rogers in the car? And
I might have to. It seems like it.
I don't know. You had a great night. Still doing great in the points. So
yeah, I definitely did better than I thought I was going to after practice and qualifying. I didn't think I was going to be up there. And then that first green flag run happened after like 10 or so laps. And I just picking people off and catching the leaders and didn't think I'd run them down, and then just started picking them off one by one and ended up in the lead before the cycle started.
I thought that was a great strategy. We started looking back and seeing that you had pitted earlier, and I'm like, yeah, he's just using some good strategy now. And then, like I said, you get out front, and everybody started pitting, and I was like, yeah. And look, next thing you know, you're down there. Like that's a smart move. Stay in the same pit cycle as they are now that you caught up to them.
Yep. Yeah, I was probably 1 or 2 laps ahead, but it was definitely a help in the long run where I could have them extra 2 or so laps on my tires, especially with the way the tire heat was. I mean, some of our right fronts were like 240 in the middle of the run sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah. Although it was good to see a track that had, high groove, low grooves, and all that stuff, but we didn't, being up here, we couldn't see how, tight it was and how much tire wear you guys had.
It honestly, it just kind of, tire wear was bad, but you had to manage the tire heat as well as the tire wear. It seemed like if you ran the top, you were going to burn your right front off quicker than if you ran the bottom. But the bottom, your tires would heat up quicker, so then your right rear would heat up quicker, and it was just you just kind of had to choose your battles on what you wanted to do.
Yep. That's cool. You had the option to do, either or, whatever it needed.
Yeah, definitely a fun race. And just wish it could have been me coming to the checker flag and not this whatever run number he was running this week.
We still got 18 races to go. I think you can come out with a couple of them there. As good as you run.
Yes, I think it's 17. I'm hoping I can. I just
and you
got the 2 at the start of the year, and it's been kind of avoiding me since. So hopefully I can get back around and get back to the winter circle.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is 17. 17 races remain in the season.
So Blaine hasn't got nothing for you. I'm gonna give you the floor so you can thank the people that get you here.
No, man, you basically said it all. It's always fun to watch, especially when you're starting near the back and then all of a sudden there you are. And yeah, it's not a win, but man, it's a lot of people to get around, man. 40 cars.
It was definitely fun. It was definitely a challenge too.
Yeah. You're starting in 40th and there's 41 started because it was knockout qualifying, right? We were guessing.
Well, they did, but I think they had done the math wrong, so there was exactly the amount of people that could make the race.
Oh, okay.
So nobody technically went home. So it was, right at 40 cars started. 40 or
Gotcha.
41 or whatever.
So they thought it was a knockout, and then it ended up not being, so then they did it again anyway. Gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah, man, no, again, congratulations on, his second place finish from all the way from 40th, man. It was great. Led 32 laps. And, do what you got to do. Thank you. You got to thank.
Just thanks to Fortnite Squad Racing for another good car. Exalta for being on the car. I'll bring it home first again at some point. I promise. Just keep giving me good cars, and I got it.
That's the best. That's the best speech ever. I'm going to get this thing.
I got it. Don't worry. I got it. I got this.
All the rest of you guys, watch out. Merkel's coming for you, and it's going to be in a car that Jeff Gordon drove, but didn't win.
Did not win the race.
It hasn't got to victory lane. You're going to get it there.
Yes, that seems to be how it's going to work.
Was our second place finisher, turns point leader, Jack Merkel.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love watching that stuff, man. Like purposely starting in the back just to come through the field like that is so entertaining.
I think that somebody should come up with a program that would allow you to do that. I think the points leader should always start in the back and not qualify. It's the way it was when I grew up racing in my local short track. You started, you went out and you did the qualifying run and you got points for that, but you still knew right where you were going to start because them points didn't accumulate until the next week. So if you were the points leader, you were going to start 18th or 17th, depending, and the person that won the race the previous week was going to start 18th. And so if it was you when you were the points leader, that's where you started.
Wow.
Yeah. I think they should do it. Yeah, I think they should come up with something that, somebody should come up with something that this game allows you to do that. But great race. I mean, we had green flag pit stops, great long run in the middle, one late caution. Unfortunately, I think that was a deal with Michael Norman there, and Mark Snyder just kind of a miscommunication of where they needed to be, and then a great finish.
Yeah, man, it was. It'd be interesting to see, especially he almost actually had the most laps led. He only missed that by a couple, and it's still able to. Sorry,
Coming from the back, that was awesome.
And it's not like you're coming from the back in like a 12-car race. This is 40 people started this. And he qualified 40th.
Yeah, he was back there.
Yeah, he was way back there. Found his way through. And like again, we were saying in the race, the big green flag run we had in the middle of that was definitely where it happened. And we didn't even notice until he hit like 7th. And we're like, there's
he
Merkel.
did the smart thing. He did the smart thing. The first caution, or maybe the second caution, he pitted. And then we didn't go too long, maybe a few laps, and then we had another caution. So he pitted again. And nobody else out front pitted. So now he's out there on fresh tires, rolled the high side, and he just started rolling. Everybody in front of him didn't have tires, and they were still, running on their old ones. It's going to make him a lot faster. We saw the big difference in tires. We see the guys that are a lap down go in, put tires on and go rolling by the leaders. So the big advantage for him. And like I said, to use the right strategy, once he got out there, to start pitting with them to stay within their cycle. So I think he did great strategy through the whole night.
Well, and even let's just talk about every driver right here in the top 10 tonight. Let's see if I can zoom that in on the broadcast. You got, Mendez, Aziz, Armstrong, Sandoval, Mercurio, Cole, Peavy, Norman, Merkel, and Rogers. Like all these guys. Like I said, I in the broadcast, I try to get around the field and show everybody. But this top 10 tonight was just so fascinating to see everybody just doing what they were doing. And, a lot of drivers, I don't even in that top 10 final, because you were saying like Cromp had the fastest lap,
Jonathan Peavy, he pitted with everybody, put 4 tires on, started 8th, and was able to make up 4 positions. And, I think honestly, maybe 2 more laps, they might not have been able to hold him off within 4 tires. So it was a pretty good strategy.
And I think PB got squeezed pretty good there too, because he was going for it, and I think he had to lift out of it because he had nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So yeah. And
all in all,
Cole,
great race.
Everybody dominated, like a lot of guys. Merkel 32 laps led, PV 34 laps led, so he had the most. PV did. Cole led 20. And yeah, it was a great show by everyone. And Mendez was up there the whole time. Mendez qualified 10th and actually finished in 10th. So yeah. Anyway, very, very good race.
Yep.
A lot of things to talk about. And I think that's all we got. I think you should join us next week, I think. That's what I think.
Absolutely.
What do you think?
I'm going to be there.
I think I'm going to be there too. Join us next week at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Just Gateway.
Also known as
a nice
Gateway.
flat track.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. Yeah, join us there next week. Same time. It's always Tuesday. It's always 8:15 p.m. and we go green around 9. Make sure you tune into Tarnation TV if you like the racing. And we might work on that Zach Rogers video feed a little bit. Got an idea. And maybe we can evolve that thing as well. But anyway, yeah, man, you got anything you want to wrap up?
Well, like I said, it was just a very, very good race. Great track. I like the multi-grooves. We saw a lot of different drivers move to the front. Some, just used up a little bit too much. Jonathan Peavy, that was awesome with taking the 4 tires. It worked out better for him. Just a great race tonight. I was not expecting it to be such a fun race.
Yeah, they got all the crashing out of the way in the first 10 to 15 laps, and the rest of it was glorious. So yeah, thanks again, everybody who watches on the YouTube. Always cool interacting with everybody in the chat. We've got everybody in the chat there. Everybody who watches this thing live, everybody who goes back and watches this thing, obviously the people that were racing end up going back and watching it tomorrow. But everybody involved in this, Rod, thank you. Everybody who comes together, and of course, music playing in the background. Reached out to this guy on Facebook, and he said, "Yeah, man, it'd be cool to use my tunes." So we've been listening to some death metal the past month or so from VARKENSSTAD. Everything we talk about is all in the description below. So we'll see you next week. Hopefully we're back. Everybody comes back on Tuesday to check out what happens at Gateway. We're just going to start calling it Gateway. It's easier to say.
Yeah.
A lot less words. But the women don't find... Yeah, it should be fun. I don't think I've ever raced on it.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, sweet. You
One
gotta
and
do
two,
some.
1 and 2's just like Martinsville. 3 and 4's like Loudon.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yep.
Cool, cool.
And then long straightaways.
Nice. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that next Tuesday.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, if the women don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy. Keep your stick on the ice.